Hello, Flosstube. Welcome. I hope you guys are having a great day today. My name is Olivia, or Liv. This is my channel, Long Live the Stitcher. I'm also on Instagram under the same handle. And this is my channel where I talk all about cross stitch. I show off my cross stitch projects and kind of hopefully explore the beauty in little small things with you. This is also my platform to talk about how needlework really helped me deal with anxiety, with having a busy mind, even when I didn't want to have a very busy brain, and some of the rigors of having a high stress job. So I hope that you enjoy this time with me. If you've watched my channel before, thank you so much. If you've watched another video, you're like, hey, this is the third one where Olivia is wearing the exact same clothes and she's sitting in the exact same place. And that is because I filmed these videos back to back. I had some time today and had a couple things I wanted to talk about and not have a 2-hour-long Flosstube video. So I'm just doing them all, same clothes. So yeah, that's the secret. They were all done the same day from my other video. Today, I am going to show you what I have been talking about from my very first Flosstube, and that is my Lady and the Unicorn large tapestry project. So this is a large project. It's a full coverage project. And I wanted to do a video dedicated just to this, not only because of how important this project is to me, to my life, but also to kind of walk through how I do things. I'm gonna show you how I organize all the floss that goes for that, and it's 100 colors, if not more, no joke. How I use the parking method to organize my floss on my fabric itself. And just kind of how I've adapted advice from other people, from other Flosstube channels that I've seen to create what I have here. And that really is kind of the point. I wanted to show what I have, what I use to give you guys the fodder to create your own methods. That's what it's all about, is finding something that really works for you. I have kind of figured out what works for me so far. I'd love to share it. So as you all know, part of my channel is showing off some craft brew that I enjoy. I'm a big craft beer girl. And today I brought something back from my home state of Kentucky to where I live in Texas. So this is a Kentucky Pale Ale from West 6th Brewing in Lexington, Kentucky. So I live in North Texas now near Dallas, but I'm from Kentucky and had a chance to go back home recently and came back with some West 6th Brewing. That's pretty good. So that's what I'm drinking today. But let's get to the business. So the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries come from a medieval tapestry that I stumbled into, didn't know about, hadn't seen before when I was visiting France. So I had a chance to go to France and visit Paris after college and went to what was then called the Musée de Cluny, which now is called, I believe, the Museum of Modern Medieval Arts. I'm not sure on the name, but it was Musée de Cluny, and it was the museum for medieval history. And walking through that museum, I saw so many things that were inspiring that I absolutely loved, and then came into a room that was kind of a darkened room and had these massive tapestries on the walls. And there were 6 of them. And it was what's called the Lady and the Unicorn series. And I learned, not only was I just immediately struck by their beauty, and they're huge. They're literally like wall-sized, each one of them, massive tapestries, 6 of them, huge. But there's just kind of some mystery around them. They don't exactly know who created them, why they were created, or what the meaning of them, of the tapestries are. What is pretty apparent though is that each of the tapestries talk about a sense. So I'll show you a picture of one of them. This is probably the best I have, but this is one of the pictures. You may have seen this. This might be a familiar pattern or view to you. They've been featured a lot in a lot of media. If you're a fan of the Harry Potter movies, the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries are what decorate the Gryffindor common room walls. When I saw that, I went crazy. I thought it was just the coolest thing. So, but these are what the real tapestries look like. So this is for taste. If you can kind of tell, the woman is feeding something to a bird. The unicorn looks like it maybe wants to eat. They've got these lions. And a feature of each of these 6 tapestries, not only is this colorful background with all the fleur-de-lis and floral working, but there's always a unicorn, there's always a lion, there's always trees, there's a lady, there's one of her ladies in waiting, and then all of these other animals that are kind of stitched into the background. And there's one for each sense. So there's taste, there's touch, hearing, sight, and smell. The smell one's kind of funny. It's like just a bunch of bouquets. like how do you do smell? But they did. And then the last one is the big tapestry. You probably have seen this too. So it's this picture. And across the front it says, à mon soul désir, which means to my soul desire. And what people don't know what that means. So what it really is talking about. But they're absolutely beautiful. And being in that room in the Musée de Cluny, I was just completely gobsmacked. I was taken aback by the beauty, by the sheer size, the work, the planning, the effort, the costs that went into not only creating these, the artists who made them, the hands who made them, but how long they've been kept and preserved. It really stuck with me. So I still had a few more days in Paris after I first saw them, and they just kept staying with me. I kept thinking about the Lady and the Unicorn. And so I went back to the gift shop of the Musée de Cluny to get something. I wanted to leave France with something tangible to help commemorate. And I found they had a series of postcards. So I got the series of postcards. And while I was done checking out, and I tell you this story because I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations has run out on my time in France. But I noticed that there was a door to the back entrance of the museum that nobody was paying attention to. So I just slipped back in. So I slipped back in the museum without paying the fee because I had to see them one more time. I had to get back in the room with the tapestries to just sit and to look. And that's what I did. I went, I sat, and I looked for a long time again. And I left after committing my French crime. And here I am today. So when I got into cross stitch, I didn't think about big projects like this. I didn't think about doing artwork. But I saw somebody had posted some, I think it was on Instagram. And I was like, wait a second, that's a cross stitch of one of the little animals from the Lady and the Unicorn. And I recognized it instantly. I was like, how cool is this? And it was from one of my favorite stitchers and YouTubers now. Her name is Christy. She does Christy's Corner. She's Dr. Christy on Instagram. I'm gonna link her here because not only was her posting that my entrance to what I'm doing now, but I absolutely love and adore the way she brings in history, the way she talks about cross stitch. She's a professor of medieval history, and she brings so much of what people did, what actual humans and their hands did with needle, with thread, with fabric, to tell stories, to keep histories, and to carry on traditions, and to bring it into home here. So that is what got me started, was seeing Dr. Christy and her work. And I told my husband, oh, that'd be so cool. And I found the patterns. I think I just Google searched it. I found the Scarlet Quince patterns. Never had heard of Scarlet Quince before. I told my wonderful husband about it. And I sent him the link thinking, oh, maybe one day he'd get me one for Christmas. Nope. My next birthday, he got me all 6 patterns. So I have all 6 of these. And then he also got the labeled, like floss color labels that Scarlet Quince will also get for you. It was an insanely generous gift. Blew me away. And I was thinking, this is incredible. I'll do them all now. I can have the entire series. Ha ha. I did not realize how long each one would take me. So just to give you a sense of the size, the stitch count is 330 by 424. These are the smaller versions of each of the designs that Scarlet Quince has. That is roughly 139,000 stitches. 139,000. So if I was able to stitch, let's just say 100 stitches a day on each one of these, it would take me 5 years per. 5 years per. So we're talking about a 30-year project to do all 6 of them. I'm not that young. I also don't know that I'm gonna be interested in doing them for that long. Anyway, I did not realize until I started stitching that that was gonna be the way it goes. If I had known that, I might have picked a different tapestry to start with, but here we are. I picked The Sense of Hearing. I think it's cool. I'm a musician, in addition to being an attorney. And I thought, oh, this is beautiful. I love it. I like it a lot. If I had known that it would be almost impossible to do all 6, I probably would have started with the unrolled or the touch one. I think the touch one's really interesting. So yeah, here we are. That's what I did. So this is the original pattern. I'm going to insert at the end of this video, a video that I took of unrolling the entire scroll frame of where I was at, so you can see how far I am in. It's like this much done now. So I started these right after I graduated from law school about two and a half years ago. Yeah, so here we are. I'll show you where I'm at now. It's on my frame. Forgive me, here we go. All right, so I use a standing frame on this because I quickly learned that the name of the game was going to be speed. That because there are so many stitches, doing everything I could to speed up the process, to really spend the most time actually needle in hand stitching was super important. So I got a frame. This is actually a new frame I just purchased. Absolutely love it. I created a bag to keep it in because my cat is a long-haired cat. And so that means that the cat hair in my house, unreal. But here she is. This is my lady in the unicorn. Oh, I hope the rich colors are coming through. So you can kind of see the edge of where I have stitched to so far. And right before I'd say probably a couple months ago, I've taken a 2-month break from this to work on other things. And I'm sad, I need to get back to it. Actually seeing it now too, I'm like, oh, she's so beautiful. I need to stitch on this more. So you can see I've started the next row to get started and to get going. This is my parking method. So I'm going to move the camera a little bit so I can hold on to this and show you how I developed my own particular parking method. Okay, there we go, that works. So these are, and I'll undo one so you can kind of see. So these are hair clips. These are like the little girls' hair clips. They're metal, just little hair clip like that, nothing to it. I literally got the idea off of a cross stitcher on Reddit probably 2 years ago, cat hair. And I had a little girl in my home who has since become a young woman and does not wear these anymore. So I went in her room and I got them all because she wasn't using them. And so now what I do is I use them to bind up my parked threads, and then because they're magnetic, they stick to a couple of needle minders that I keep on my fabric to help keep it clean, keep the stitch space organized. So I have all of my threads parked in particular grid sections. It really depends on how many stitches are in, like how many parked threads do I have in that particular section. Like if it starts to become too many, I'll separate out. So this one, it was too much, I can already tell, remember when I did this. So I just have 2 grids here. And I stitched this on pre-gridded Aida. So it is 32 count pre-gridded Zweigart Aida in ivory. I bound the seams myself. This is a scroll frame. It was the basting type of scroll frame, so that means that you kind of stitch your fabric onto fabric that's stapled to these frames. I got this frame from the scroll frame from 123 Stitch. The basting seemed like the most secure way to do it rather than the clamp kinds of scroll frames. I would do it differently now. The basting is not, it doesn't evenly secure your fabric all the way across like a clamp does. So I have sections that are kind of loose. Maybe you can see that the fabric gives. I do not have very good tension on here. That's just kind of the way it is. It doesn't bother me. I don't have to have really tight tension to stitch. I know some people get really annoyed by it though. So pre-gridded. So all of my fabric is parked by grid. I have each one in each grid, so what I'll do when I pull a new thread over is I'll park the thread, and then wrap these up just like this, and then secure it back with the hair clip. There's literally nothing else to it. So this method does require undoing each clip and rewinding the threads most times. There are some parking bobbins that you can, where you kind of unsnap the bobbin, wound up your thread, and then snap the bobbin back. You can buy those on Etsy. I know that Brenda, the Handwork Maniac, she has some of those that she uses. But alas, Olivia does not. I have my little hair clips. I like my system. It's really simple. So that is my parking method. When I stitch two-handed. So I taught myself how to do two-handed stitching because of the added time. So the way I stitch here is I have it on my scroll frame. See if I can turn this up. You can see my face. Oh my goodness, not just a talking head. Here we go. So I have my tapestry, and then I can do two-handed stitching. I'm right-handed, so my left hand does the stitching I can see, and then my right hand does the back. So I literally feed it through and then pull it out and back and forth like this. You do go much faster using two-handed stitching. So I highly encourage you to think about it if you're thinking about doing a big project. I keep track of my stitches using a tablet. So I just got a really cheap Amazon Fire tablet that literally exists to do one sole use, and that is to access the Scarlet Quince's online. It is through a web browser, essentially Pattern Keeper. So it is a place that they have their pattern. You can upload your patterns that you've purchased and then mark off all your stitches as you go. Game changer. I went double time. It literally doubled the time of my stitching when I started using the web browser, the pattern app. It's not an app, it's in the web browser. The way it changed my time was that it highlights all the stitches of that color. So rather than literally line by line searching for the symbol with my finger on my working copy, I was literally able to have a machine do that for me. And a machine is much more exact than my eyes, I was constantly skipping things over and doing things wrong. And it just took a lot of extra time. So being able to highlight those stitches, mark them off as I go, saved a lot of time. It also allowed you park threads and mark stitches as parked. That's been super helpful. So the row that I'm on right now is once I get this row done all the way across the bottom, I'll be halfway done. Halfway done. So 2.5 years in, it's probably gonna take me, I would say, through the rest of the year. September now. Actually, that's really ambitious. It'll take me longer than that. This is probably gonna be a 6-year project. Long time, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. I do really love it. And seeing it again, I'm like, man, I do love these colors. I may have to stitch on this again today. So, highly recommend using a standing frame if you're doing a big project. Highly recommend taking the time and working through the clumsiness of learning two-handed stitching. It's a big time saver. Using whatever electronic app, I use this just to cover it up when it's on my frame. Again, the long-haired cat. Highly recommend using the browser to mark off your stitches, to find stitches of the right color, and taking the time to set all that up. The biggest regret I have in starting my big project was not taking the time to do it right in the beginning. I didn't take the time to put it on the scroll frame right. I didn't take the time to get a stand, and I tried stitching, holding a frame with one, and I messed up my shoulder for a week. It was terrible. But the biggest thing I would go back and do differently is my floss organization. Let me show you how I have it now. It's kind of janky. So with these big projects, one of the things that makes them challenging is they have a lot of different colors. The Scarlet Quince has at least 100 colors. Most of those are what's called a blended color. And if you're like me and you don't really know what that means, A blended color means that the particular symbol is 2 DMC floss colors. I'm using the called for DMC floss on this. So if it's 2 different DMC floss colors and you're using 2 strands of thread for your fabric, that means that one strand is of a different color, right? So you're using color 1, color 2, stitch them together through your needle to make your blended floss. That is time consuming. There are some people I've seen who've taken the time before they start a big project like this to bobbinate the blended colors, so that instead of just having a flat color like I do, they'll have the bobbinated blended floss ready to go in cut lengths to use on their fabric. That would be much smarter than what I did. I just wanted to go. I was chomping at the bit. I said, let's do this. So I bobbinated most of the colors, and then I ran out of bobbins, but I wasn't about to be stopped. So what I did is I literally just got Ziploc bags to put the rest of my floss in. But it was using these Ziploc bags that made me realize that I prefer bagging my floss, and led me to the floss away bags, which are nicer. But here's what I have. I use the floss. I have some of my colors in bags, some of my colors bobbinated in these 2 different containers. So I kind of have to know when I'm pulling thread, oh, is that one of my bobbin colors or is that one of my bag colors? There's no rhyme or reason. There are no like sequential colors. It's just, I was doing this haphazard and fast. So that's the way it is. I'm dealing with my mistakes on the daily when I stitch on this one. So that's how I have things organized now. You can see all my beautiful bobbin colors in here. I probably would do everything in floss away bags. Well, I do, if you've seen my other videos, you can see I do everything in floss away bags now. I do like that. If I'm doing another big project like this with blended threads, I'm probably going to pre-blend and bobbinate my blended flosses in the future. But that's how I do this. I have a stand. I'm gonna pull it out here. I have it kind of tucked away while I was taking a break. But I have this little arm that goes on my little table right here, and this arm holds my tablet. So I have my tablet up, I have my light shining, I have my stand, and have everything right there to be able to really focus in and get some work on this big tapestry. So that's, I think, everything. If you have any questions or something that I walked through, maybe you'd like me to slow down and show it a little bit more, I'd be happy to do that. There are lots of people I watched on Flosstube that talked about how they organized their big projects. People like Stitches with Jules or Stitching with Jules. She was one of the first Flosstubers I ever saw. She was really helpful. There were a couple other people that were really helpful too. So thank you for letting me add to the collective wisdom of our craft. I'll be posting more pictures of my progress on my Instagram. My handle is, there is long live, L-I-V, long live the Stitcher. And thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure, guys. Y'all take care. Bye.
As you see fit.
All right, and you can hear me through the microphone if I talk? Okay. All right, so here's the grand unveiling. I just finished this final row here. I say final, but I still definitely have a lot more to go further down. This is probably, I think, about 40% of the way done, but I haven't seen it completely done yet. So we're gonna unveil it right here, right now. Take my little needle minders off. I use multiple needle minders on this one because of how I have my parking system, which, if you keep watching, I will go through exactly my kind of hybrid system that I've made using both cross-country and parking methods with my threads, because there are lots of threads. But right now, we are going to do the grand reveal. So I have this on scroll rods, the kind with the fabric attached to them, and I basted my fabric on originally. And that's where it worked out okay. I don't think I'm going to do the basting fabric again, or I'll do it a little bit better. It hasn't been my favorite system so far. So we're just going to take out one But no, I'm gonna have to do the whole thing. I do love using the scroll rods though. It makes it just so easy to work with the pattern. And the fabric, because there's a lot of fabric. It is a huge piece. Here we go. Just gotta undo the whole thing. And now you get to see how that is, huh? Just hit the camera. All right, here it is. Let's see the whole thing. Oh my gosh, it is so cool. Oh, I just love it. Man, so this is I haven't seen it like this before. Oh, yeah, this is really good confirmation that even though this project takes so much time, I just love it so much. All of this, all the little animals that came out. So I don't look at the picture very much while I'm stitching. I'm trying to just like get the feel as it happens. And so each of these, like the little rabbit, and there's a fox, and I think this is a lamb, and there's another rabbit, and then we have a hawk, and this is a goose. Took me a while to figure this one out. This is a goose. Every single one of them surprised me as I was stitching it. I didn't know what I was coming up to. And even the ladies, as I would get to the ladies, I didn't realize that these were the parts of the ladies. But like, look at this. Look at the detail on her dress. That deep blue and the way that, I'm just so taken with this. It's gorgeous. So, to kind of put it in perspective, there are still this much, oh, scoot it up even more, this much more to go. So, it'll be, oh my gosh, I haven't unrolled it like this since I started over 2 years ago. So it will be all the way down here with the ladies. There's a big carpet that they're on. They're playing at an organ. And then a whole other section with more trees and more of this red background with all the fleur-de-lis and the kind of filigree that's happening. And maybe if you're lucky, you're getting some of my dog in the shot too. Murray's being funny. So yeah, that's it. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it really tight back up so I can put it back on its frame to get started on, oh wow, it's so thick it doesn't want to roll. This is going to take a little work. To get it started on the next round. So I'm probably going to roll it up so maybe about to here is still showing, maybe a little less than, so I have this much more room to work on. And I'll get started doing the next row. And I'm going to do that tonight. So here we go. Doing the next row. And I'm going to do that tonight. So here we go. I'll start from the top and roll it really tight here. That is something I have, so you can see how I basted it. And if I use these scroll rods again on the basting, I'm probably going to do it a little more consistent. As you can see, it's kind of haphazard on here. And when you pull it tight, you can kind of tell the tension becomes haphazard. And I think it has to do with where each of the stitches are actually holding the fabric down. Maybe not. Maybe somebody who knows better can tell me what I'm doing and maybe how I could improve. So feel free. The Flosstube community is definitely how I learned how to do all of this. So please let that information and advice fly. Wow, it is funny how like stiff that is. It is so thick with all the stitches, and then you can kind of see my horror of my messy back. I am very